every football season, when the last undefeated NFL team takes an L, alumni from the 1972 Dolphins ceremoniously crack open a bottle of champagne like they are some kind of hot Yeah, Mercury and crew, we get it. You had the only undefeated season in the Super Bowl era, back before there was Twitter and whatever the this is. And even though them celebrating their accomplishment is like France celebrating their victory in World War II, like the French, they're going to be enjoying champagne until the end of time. Because this dumb ritual is going to happen until every last Dolphin from that team is dead and beyond. Sorry, Patrick Mahomes. Why the quest for an undefeated season is now impossible is coming up right after this. Want to know the easiest way to start an argument with your girlfriend or spouse? Ask them where they want to go out to eat tonight and have her say anywhere is fine. What if I told you there was a way to remove all that noise from your life? And no, it's not divorce, it's HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, their meals are delicious, sustainable, and the best part is you don't have to go anywhere. Tell your boo to relax. You got this. With HelloFresh, you're in control. Choose the dinners or lunches you want, add in extras if you desire. And like I said, no trips and no tips. Plus, there's no wasted food like a bunch of tomatoes sitting in the fridge that you don't need. Check out these black bean and poblano flautas I cooked for my wife. The one night of the week, she didn't yell at me. So after this video, head on over to HelloFresh.com from the link below and use my code 5points12 and get 12 free meals across 4 boxes and free shipping on your first box. Again, go to HelloFresh.com and enter in my code 5points12 for 12 free meals and free shipping. Treat yourself and maybe others. HelloFresh. So, a little history. For 43 seasons, every team in the National Football League played 16 games in the regular season. That changed prior to the 2021 season. The NFL traded weed and a larger salary cap to the Players Association for a new 17-game schedule, swapping one preseason game for a regular season game. The regular schedule making prevail, the only difference being an extra interconference matchup. Like I said, there's been one undefeated season in the Super Bowl era, and that happened before 20-0 was the mark, and before 19 straight games was the target for a clean sheet. The Miami Dolphins ran the table way back in 1972, plowing through the AFC before dispatching Washington in the Super Bowl, finishing 17-0. The only team that's matched that feat, at least in the regular season, was the 2007 New England Patriots, who won 18 straight games, before ending up on the wrong side of the most giant upset in NFL history. By the way, yeah, this headline didn't age so well. Sorry, Jeffrey, am I jinxing myself? Many have tried and failed the task. The 2009 Colts were shot out of a cannon, winning their first 14 games before head coach Jim Caldwell decided to rest Peyton Manning in Week 16. The 2011 Green Bay Packers started 13-0 before an upset in Kansas City ended their shot at perfection. Neither team won a Lombardi. Now with 17 games on the docket, the task got even harder. In fact, it's now impossible. But it's not just the expanded regular season. Nope, it's more nuanced than that. I hope you know what nuance means. Let's start with the most obvious reason there will never be another undefeated season. You have to win one more game to pull it off. Duh. It was hard enough before, but now with a 17th game, the mission has become 6.2% harder than it was before. And even though I failed statistics, I can tell you that the odds of winning 17 in a row versus 16 in a row involves some exponents, and exponents that aren't even numbers, they're letters. That shit is terrifying. How do you multiply a letter? The problem isn't just that it's an extra game, it's the game is made to not be easy. The +1 between the AFC and NFC matches up teams that finished in the same place in their respective divisions the year prior. For example, the Chiefs and the Packers will play in 2021 because they both won their divisions, so it's an extra landmine on the schedule for those two teams. Chances are teams with a chance to go undefeated don't just pop out of nowhere. They're likely following up a second or first place finish in their division. So that makes the interconference matchup a tough draw by design, unless you're playing the NFC East. The NFL is purposefully upping the difficulty for its better teams and lowering it for the pushovers, both to increase their number of marquee games and to continue in their pursuit of that magic word, parody, the thing that makes football so great. There's more than just the tall task of having to perform an extra 60 minutes each season. The extra game gives way to a higher chance that key players will end up facing an injury. Just as importantly, the NFL added an extra game to the schedule, but failed to match it with a second bye week that would have given players extra time to recover and avoid getting banged up. Saints running back Alvin Kamara put it like this: "So if you're a coach, how do you counteract the extra wear and tear that your players receive? Well, you don't play them. At least not if you don't have to. Every NFL team begins training camp with one goal: to win their division, unless you're the NFC East where the goal is 7 wins. After that, the only objective before the playoffs is to secure home field advantage. Once those 2 goals are accomplished, there's nothing more you can do to prepare your team for the playoffs. Remember when I told you about the 2009 Colts benching Peyton Manning in the middle of a game? When they were trying to advance to 15-0, they didn't just sit their future Hall of Fame quarterback, they also told Reggie Wayne, Joseph Adai, and Dallas Clark to grab some pine. Then the next week, they realized there was no difference between 14 and 15 wins, and sat their starters again, this time in a 23-point loss to Buffalo. I mean, it kinda worked. The Colts may have not won the Super Bowl, but they did win their first 2 playoff games by a combined 30-point margin, including a 13-point victory over the same Jets that beat up on Curtis Painter in Week 15. And yes, Curtis Painter crawled so that Nathan Peterman could fly. Extra reps wouldn't have stopped either of these plays, so trading a perfect sheet for a chance at a ship was the right move. This wasn't even the first time the Colts had ended up in this situation. Indy was 13-0 to start the 2005 season, and they did the exact same thing. That year, they lost in the divisional round to the eventual champion Steelers. Here's the point: resting your starters only matters if it keeps them healthy, and that was the case for Indy both years. Plus, Nick Harper got tackled by Ben Roethlisberger. There's another reason an undefeated record is so unattainable in the modern age: modern technology. Back in the 70s, the only way you'd know the Dolphins had won was by picking up a newspaper, switching on your 14-inch tube TV, or via carrier pigeon. Today, the only bird that matters is on the Twitter icon, and it puts athletes and coaches under a microscope, the likes of which no one has seen in human history. It was easy to cut out the distractions in the 70s and in the 90s. It was even a different media landscape when the Pats went 16-0 back in 2007 before the popularization of social media. Back then, you could turn off the TV, drop that newspaper, or snap that carrier pigeon's neck, you goddamn psychopath. Athletes don't find distractions anymore. Distractions find them, usually via Twitter or thoughts on Instagram. And with a league that's younger than it was 15 years ago, mostly thanks to the rookie wage scale, teams comprise players that don't have experience cutting the noise, logging off, or to quote Tyler the Creator, just closing your eyes. A bid for an undefeated season would create a major firestorm on Twitter, sky-high expectations, and additional pressure, the likes of which would make Larry Zonka and Mercury Morris shit their pants, which they probably do now. And the apps on the handhelds aren't the only thing keeping a perfect season down. It's the actual devices themselves. Coaches have unbelievable access to game film instantaneously that allows them to adjust their game plans in real time, leading to remarkable comebacks and teams not being able to fool others on the surface. I hope you appreciate a good pun. If you haven't left the vid by now, the assumption is yeah. Speaking of Zonka and Morris, the Dolphins' backfield leads me to my final point. Zonka, Mercury, and Jim Kick were one of the most talented backfields of all time, and unless you catch lightning in a bottle, it's nearly impossible to cultivate that kind of depth in the 21st century. In 1994, the NFL instituted the salary cap, just a year after the league introduced unrestricted free agency. That year, the NFL champion 49ers were just $456 under the cap. It created a financial strain for teams with talent and depth, but was an obvious boon for leveraging the ability of the players. It's certainly possible to field a dynasty in the salary cap era, but it's made the pursuit of perfection nearly obsolete. So how about those 2007 Patriots? How did they fit all their talent under the cap? Besides the obvious answer, cheating, they ran into one of the greatest competitive advantage in sports history: Tom Brady's contract. Brady's contract counted for just $7.3 million against the cap, which was 10th among quarterbacks in 2007. That flexibility gave them the opportunity to hang on to the veterans from their initial dynasty, players like Teddy Bruschi and Richard Seymour, while adding free agents like Adalius Thomas and Dante Stallworth. The Patriots also took advantage of one of the most inept teams ever, the 2006 Oakland Raiders. In the 2 years prior, Randy Moss underperformed with an abysmal Raiders squad, tanked his trade value, and was shipped to New England for just a 4th-round pick. Moss then found the end zone a record 23 times in 2007. Aside from those TDs to Moss, Brady added another 27 to hit 50 total, which was also a record at the time. And Moss caught what could have been the perfect season sealer had Eli and the Giants not gotten so f***ing lucky. The Patriots were shrewd in constructing their 16-0 juggernaut, but they also stumbled upon some truly lucky breaks. Lucky breaks that aren't likely to be repeated. Well, except for that part where they lost in the Super Bowl. So, 72 Dolphins, enjoy your little ceremony. Like Babe Ruth being the home run king when he played against plumbers and got to duck the best players on earth until Jackie Robinson came along. Ah well, history is history, and that's what an undefeated NFL season will remain. Part of the past. Forever. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting videos on sports. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to my next video.